Kellie-Jay, and whilst I wait for you all to catch up, here is a little bit of this.
Then potentially we'll be looking at getting Wiltshire Police to come and arrest you so they can come and interview them.
This lady here will be arrested in a minute if she doesn't give me her details.
I'm not going to. Because we're in a public space.
Have you got enough? Have you got her details?
I have.
So if this lady's refusing her details, she's going to have to get arrested.
Right, what about my stuff?
Excuse me.
Alright, you don't need to hold me. Can I just say that's my stuff?
You're under arrest. Okay.
But that's my stuff over there, am I not entitled to take it?
Your arrest is that I can't give you the details. I can't obtain your details.
Right.
So, for that reason, you will be arrested.
And I'm not allowed to take my belongings. I've got a leash.
And do you know why else we're going to win? Why? Because I never lose!
No idea if I have no idea what's going on today. I am live on TikTok, so I've got two cameras kind of side by side. So if I look like I'm looking at one or the other or whatever, wherever you want to get me, that's where you can get me. Isn't this great? And TikTok's amazing because it gives you amazing filters. So if you want to see me, 2023 me, it's here. And for you viewers in TikTok, this is 1983 me when I was about 7, before I had any wrinkles on my face. So that's great. Okay, I want to have a little chat with you about Labour. I just want to say, I saw lots of people today saying, "Oh, Labour! Oh my God, it's so amazing! Hallelujah!" The wine in my tap, the water in my tap has turned to wine. Let me say, I have no idea what you're celebrating. No idea whatsoever. It reminds it. Look, the one thing we have on our side is the truth. That's what we need to stick to, not what we want to be true, but absolutely like 100% reality, 100% of the time. I really don't understand this idea that if we exaggerate like we're TRAs or like we're imbeciles, that it will somehow come true. It won't come true. Just because you want it to be great news, it doesn't mean it's great news. And I'm finding it hilarious that lots of people who are, I don't know, invested in Labour, actually not being misogynist prick, what they are doing is they are really super celebrating as if they've achieved something. I'm really sorry, girls. I'm really sorry, but it doesn't look like right now that you have achieved anything. Let me just tell you, I'm going to read a little bit of Annalise Dodds in The Guardian today. I'm going to tell you what I believe she said, because I don't think it's what you... It's certainly not what some of you have said. By the way, if you like what I do here with Standing for Women, with the Adult Human Female Store, and you want this amazing black Diamante, not Nightfall, but black Diamante or Rhinestone, it is in your store. If you're in New Zealand, it's adulthumanfemale.live. If you're in the UK, it's .store. If you're in America, it's .us. And we even have them winging their way to our amazing store in Australia, which is .space. Okay. A mix of culture wars and trans debate, not the economy, not the NHS. So how does she start? She starts, Labour will lead on reform of transgender rights. And we won't take any lectures from divisive Tories. Okay. So we will modernise, simplify and reform gender recognition law. Oh my God. Yay. Oh, they'll modernise it and reform it because it's so terrible right now. Oh, how exciting. How will they modernise it? How will they reform it? How will they make it better for women? Oh, I don't know. I don't think they will. I have no hope. Okay, it's a sad reflection. The Tory election campaign should be built around demonising vulnerable LGBT people. Like Isla Bryson, vulnerable. Vulnerable maybe like Karen White. Vulnerable like the men who literally have their penises out at pride parades. Vulnerable like the men dressed up as babies with nappies and baby grows on the pride marches. Vulnerable like the men who make women feel uncomfortable in our spaces. Vulnerable like the men who like to dress as women and use female-only changing rooms. I wonder if it's those men. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just trying to work out, besides teenagers pulled into this cult, I'm trying to work out just what it is that makes them vulnerable. Anyway, it's a sad reflection on just how little in the way of positive vision the government now has to offer British people, especially women, Annalise, especially women. I won't beat around the bush. The reason for Anderson's interest in the opportunity is to stoke division. Arguments about the boundaries between sex and gender-based rights now rank amongst the fiercest in politics. Yeah, because your party silenced debate. Because your party keeps saying stupid mantras that we all know are not true. Because your party said that it was wrong to say that only a woman has a cervix. Because your trade unions and your whole political movement has made it absolutely impossible for women to speak. Even women on your own side you've bullied. And even now, women on your own side, still knowing that you've bullied women on your side, are still supporting you and saying this is brilliant. Jesus Christ. If I'm hungry, I want more than crumbs, people. If I want to win the race, I am not stopping at like halfway. This is not even halfway. This kind of feels like we've just heard the starter pistol. That's what it feels like. I really don't understand why anybody is going, oh my God, that's so amazing. I was starving and she literally gave me 3 crumbs. Anyway, right. Okay. Both sides argue rightly that they advocate for some of the most vulnerable people in our society. I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying that somebody who can choose whether or not to go out in public dressed as a member of the opposite sex is the same as a woman who actually inhabits her own female body. This should encourage a degree of care from responsible politicians. Responsible politicians would understand that this isn't a debate to exploit its people's lives. Yeah. If you're looking for me on TikTok, by the way, it's Standing for Women, I believe. Standing for Women TikTok. I have no idea what I am on here on this channel, so hi. Anyway, responsible politicians would understand that this isn't a debate to exploit its people's lives. Yeah, and they might actually stop lying about what they think biological sex is. The tragedy is that transgender rights do need reform and leadership. The GRA broke new political ground. The former enabled trans people to legally change their gender for the first time. I'm going to bet right now, I'm going to bet 500 of my English pounds that she doesn't explain at all what gender is in a way that anybody remotely understands what it is. So I'm just going to say right now, that's what I think. So this is about the Equality Act, discrimination, harassment, blah, blah, blah. In 2023, we have a much better understanding of the barriers trans people face. And now she's going to say what they are, because that's at the beginning of a paragraph. So she's now going to say what they are. You ready? Oh, no. That's why Labour is committed to modernising the Gender Recognition Act. Changing gender is not a decision anyone makes lightly. The process is intrusive, outdated, and humiliating. This is where she now tells us what the process is. No, sorry, my mistake. Changing gender is not a decision anywhere, blah, blah, blah. The process is in blah, blah, blah. So we will modernise, simplify, and reform the gender recognition law to a new process. We will remove invasive bureaucracy and simplifying the process. Can I just say, for you international people who don't know much about the UK, let me just say, if you have a disability, including a chronic disability, in which you cannot work, we don't trust a doctor or even two doctors to say that you have to be assessed by an agency, an arm of the government, to decide whether or not you are applicable for disability benefits, right? That's intrusive. You might be asked all sorts of questions. You may be even asked to perform tasks, ones that they've known for the last 10 years that you can't perform. Okay? So you may have terminal cancer. You may be paralyzed from the neck down, and they will still ask you the same questions. You have to reapply for your disability benefits. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I happen to think that that is pretty damn intrusive. And nobody, not Labour, nobody is talking about making that process easier for people with disabilities. Let me just say that. Intrusive is things like asking questions. Like, hey, Dave, when you go in a woman's toilet, do you really believe you're a woman? Have you believed you're a woman for 2 years? I mean, anything, it's all nuts. None of it makes sense. It's all nuts. Anyway. A law must also protect legitimate applications. I have no idea what that is. What's a legitimate application? Last year, the Scottish National Party's cavalier approach seemed to be more about picking a fight than bringing about meaningful change. Well, that's something that I can definitely agree with. We will not make the same mistakes, so she understands at least that it's controversial. Oh my God. Now get this. So they're saying they're not going to do self-ID. They're not going to do self-ID. But what they are going to do is they're going to make it easier. And one of the things they're going to do is this. It's especially important to obtain a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria. That's certainly especially the case now that gender dysphoria is no longer classified and stigmatized as a psychiatric disorder. Well, what is it then? Like, if it's not a psychiatric something, what is it? What is it? It can help refer trans people to the NHS for support services. Nearly a quarter of trans people don't know how to access transition-related healthcare. These words, and it happens everywhere, in all parts of activism. We just invent these words and we apply it to things, and we think that that's fine because it makes us feel better. The current process also requires a panel of anonymous doctors to decide something of monumental significance. Yeah, who can trust a doctor to know about anything to do with that? I mean, God, they're only doctors. Based on reams of intrusive medical paperwork and any evidence of surgery. And this is demeaning for trans people, especially because 95% of men like to keep their penises. A diagnosis provided by one doctor with a registrar instead of a panel should be enough. And what doctor in the UK is going to run that gauntlet of not giving a diagnosis? What doctor? Some doctors in the UK were giving children puberty blockers knowing that it was sterilizing them. What doctor, what one doctor is going to put their name onto something that robs somebody of getting a GRC? Let me be clear. We're proud of the Equality Act. We need to recognize that sex and gender are different. Yes, sex is real. Gender is made up. Put simply, this means that there will always be cases where it's reasonable for biological women only to have access. Raging transphobe. Labour will defend those spaces, providing legal clarity for the providers of single-sex services. These policies will not please anyone. Oh no, she says everyone. They will be attacked from all sides in good faith and bad, but responsible politics, blah, 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 blah. So basically, we're going to make it easier for a man to be recognized as female. And it doesn't actually matter, Annalise, because you have participated, your party, in fact, all of British politics has participated in what we see now, which is that women don't feel that we can even speak about it in our places of work, in our families, in our friendships. We don't any longer feel that we can speak about this without being accused of being a bigot, without being accused of being all sorts of terrible human beings or having associations with terrible human beings. So, look, when the Party of Women launches, and it will, let me just show you. Can you see that, people? Sorry, this is for the live streamers. Can you see that subtle black? These will be on sale tomorrow. Amazing. How amazing is that? When the Party of Women launches, and it will launch, it will be launching. We will be taking the UK by storm. We will be the only political party registered that wants to repeal the GRA, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the official element of this cult, of these lies, of this dishonest rot that currently occupying every single corporation, every single doctor's office. You know that, like, if you talk to anybody in any serious profession, however they feel about it, unless they're fully on board with the cult, they can't talk about it, right? You're not allowed to talk about it. Everyone's frightened of getting into trouble for what they say. So when we take back the truth, and we talk about the fact that gender is a load of nonsense invented by people that wanted to give us souls in our post-theocratic, religious society. They wanted to give us a new religion. They invented gender. Nobody will say what it is. It's a load of nonsense. So when we've done that, when we get rid of that particular structure, that legal fiction, then it gives opportunity for other people to understand that it's not true, for other people to have courage to be able to talk about this. And that's the only way it can be done. Now, that doesn't mean to say that instantly what we do is we say to genuinely coerced, manipulated, vulnerable people that they have no right, that they can't dress however they want, that they can't call themselves whatever they want. But what we say to those people is, look, that's your own business. That's nothing to do with the state. If people in your private life want to call you whatever name you want, even use pronouns, and I really fundamentally disagree with them, but if people in your private life want to do that for you, maybe they feel it's somehow courteous, then that's fine. But it is not a right of the state or a job or your profession or any of your sports bodies or anyone else to endorse an ideology that they know to be false, and moreover, to force you to go along with it. That's what the GRA does. It puts a process in law that means that even if you don't buy it, even if you don't believe it, you can't even say it. And I think that is something that genuinely does not belong in a democratic, free society. So that's what I will be doing as the Party of Women. And if you don't know anything about the Party of Women, you'll have to look me up on YouTube and find out all about it. If you want to find me, I am on Twitter at the Posie Parker. I'm on YouTube at Kellie-Jay Keen. You can also find me by Kellie-Jay Keen on Twitter. We also have websites Standing for Women and the Adult Human Female .store. And then we also have .live, .space, and .us. So these are the places you can all find me. I always end like this. So this is my first Twitter. So thank you for joining me in this space. It was an absolute delight. I think I'll be doing more of this simulcasting. I might have to watch it back to see how weird it is if I do this and then this and then this and then this. So we'll have to see. But I am I'm absolutely categorically clear that Party of Women will be a genuine party that has the courage of its convictions, which is not to say we want to make it easier, we don't discriminate, we are not prejudiced. I don't need to say any of those things. I just need to tell you that when it comes to women and safe spaces and children and our language, then I do not compromise. Any compromise is surrender as far as I'm concerned. And that is nothing that I'm willing to do. And I know some of you women don't mind doing that, but these are not your rights to give away. This is not your celebration. Whilst we still have women who call themselves trans widows who are absolutely petrified that when it comes to coercive control, they won't even be recognized as victims of coercive control. They won't under the Labour Party. In fact, under domestic violence right now, if you say that you don't want your pornified AGP husband from transitioning and taking all the household money, you can be done for financial abuse. So I think trans widows are right to be afraid. I think we are all right to be afraid. These lies have to stop though, and it has to stop right now. So that's what we'll be doing. So anyway, but look, I am not thankful for crumbs from the table. Never. It's just not the way I am. Look, a much wiser person than me said, the most you're ever going to get is what you ask for. The most you're ever going to get. So we have to ask for more than we want, because we'll always end up having to compromise a tiny bit. So I say, I want it all. Actually, I'm not willing to compromise. But if you're already asking for half the sandwich, you're never going to get a picnic. And that's what I'm asking for. I want the whole damn thing. Nothing less than all women's spaces, getting our language back, getting our rights back, getting the ability to speak about this back. Nothing short of that is good enough for me. So, if you can, even though you know that you'll be criticized and that even women on your own side will be rabidly obsessed with you and go on and on and on and on and target your family, and you still speak the truth, then I promise we will win. If you can stand beside people who you don't agree with on much, but you think you have common cause, then I promise we will win. And you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.